Hello, everybody. I'm excited to see you all in here in today's discussion board. This one's going to be all about how in America, the space that we inhabit, whether that is a workspace, a household, or a friend group, whatever it is, this is all about how that space itself plays an integral role in informing the ways in which we as individuals who inhabit that space perceive and interact with those around us. For me, I'm going to be going with my workspace for this one. I work at a coffee shop called Inc. Coffee Roasters that is located in the Hogue Medical Facility up in Foothill Ranch. Describing my social location in this workspace, I am a cisgendered, heterosexual, Caucasian male. How does my personality shape what I can see and experience in this space? I'll get into more detail in this in a second. But one of the things I notice about white people, and in particular older white people, which I work with a lot of older white people because I work in a medical facility, is that white people tend to carry with them the assumption that other white people share their personal, cultural, and social values. In a way, I suppose that could be argued as being a privilege due to the fact that these customers are more comfortable with me and speaking freely with me due to the fact that I'm white because I mean, that's the thing. I don't know if it's a consequence of them of it being an older customer base than other coffee shops I've worked at, or if it's a consequence of the fact that, unlike other coffee shops I've worked at, where I've had a very diverse assortment of coworkers behind me, at this one it's only ever one barista on bar at a time. So perhaps they feel more isolated and therefore feel more confident in the idea that it's just a conversation between us two, and they're able to speak more freely about those assumptions they're carrying about me in terms of my views. As far as using concepts from Chapter 7 to identify white supremacy in this workspace, one example of this I can give is that even just last week on the 19th, there was a customer of mine who is a regular. He came in, and as I was making his coffee, he tried to make conversation with me. And he was saying something, kind of complaining, saying, like, oh, today's a holiday, I guess. And I was like, oh yeah, it's Juneteenth, and he responds to that just kind of bickering about the fact that, oh, there's a holiday for everything these days. I don't really see the point in it. You know, it's happened over 100 years ago. Why do we even celebrate if we don't get the day off? All that kind of thing. And I'm just kind of trying to keep the conversation going in some kind of direction, I guess. So I responded to him just saying, like, oh yeah, they even have a National Coffee Day, sarcastically. And he responded to that completely with just total sincerity. Oh, well, I'm all for that. Meaning that this person genuinely perceives coffee as being a more important part of America's culture and history than he does the emancipation of the slaves. Um, which is just a very difficult thing to even respond to or wrap your head around. And that is a consequence of colorblindness, which is a form of white supremacy, or a consequence of white supremacy that gets talked about in the third section of Chapter 7 of our textbook. Where basically, because he's white, he doesn't take seriously the problems of non-white people. To him, emancipation is little more than just a footnote in America's history, something that happened and is now irrelevant to the discussion of whatever is going on today. Because he's a white person, he isn't affected by that. Nothing about his personal life changes knowing that emancipation happened. So it doesn't carry the weight for him that it would for a black person. To the point where he can actually value coffee more than it, because he drinks coffee, and because that coffee is a more immediate part of his life than slavery. Those are the kind of conversations that I have with customers, and just a very surreal experience every single time. Another example of another topic we're asked to explore here is intersectionality. My workspace is intersectionality in a way. Being Inc. Coffee Roasters, the entire point of the company was started to encourage the hiring of people with different learning disabilities, such as autism, to be invited into the workspace, seeing as it's increasingly difficult for people with autism to find work, find employment after the age of 22. So a lot of the time you see people kind of interacting. Even though I don't see my coworkers often, I hear about my coworkers, and I hear about how the ways people kind of interact with my coworkers or perceive my coworkers. A lot of time they might consider them unconversational, antisocial, find them irritating to talk to, and so on. just due to small social behaviors, and that comes from an inherent built-in stigma about them, as they interact with the neurotypical people in the workspace, the neurotypical customer base for the most part, which gets even more conflated when you start involving other topics, like how the owner of my facility is Muslim, and we carry a lot of Muslim items such as ghee or zatar on our Danish. So there's just different kind of interacting aspects of cultural identities that are informed or do inform the ways that customers interact with my coworkers. What did this analysis reveal to me that I hadn't fully considered before? I don't necessarily know. I have thought about this stuff before. I talk about it with my friends quite often. I don't know if it's anything new, but how my understanding of these dynamics change how I navigate or advocate within this space. I think it's important to take in consideration the ways in which I guess it builds a sense of empathy for me in terms of how I interact with those around me, or it helps me try and be more conscious of the ways that I might behave or communicate to other baristas at a different coffee shop I work in, or I might go to shop in, or just anywhere where I would be in the position of being a customer. It makes me kind of more consciously aware of the difference in relationship between customer and server, and how identity kind of informs those interactions itself. Thank you all for listening, and yeah, I'll see you in the next discussion board.